Okay, so I'm ready for revelation number two, if you guys are.
I am, and I think Jared and Maureen are.
Yep.
So let's go to number two. No competition may not mean a great deal.
Okay.
So a lot of times we see people who think that because a search query is returning no ads, they think there's a huge field of opportunity for them where they can advertise for next to nothing. There's no one up there, so it should be a penny for me to put my ad up there. And that's actually not true. Google prices ads based on how relevant that ad is to the search query, not based on the number of competitors alone. The competition factors into an ad auction, but the relevancy is always present even if there are no competitors. It's always going to be a component of how that ad auction works.
So you're talking about minimum bid prices related to relevancy?
Definitely.
So even if nobody's there, you still have to pass the minimum bid price formula, which assesses your...
Yeah.
Got it.
So Google has actually told us that forcing your ad on a query can be very expensive. They gave us some examples, all of which were very specific, but we actually have found that on both sides of the spectrum, for different reasons, if you have very generic terms or if you have very specific terms, it can be very difficult to advertise on them. I called up some examples. The words lake, smile, and cut are all words that are very simple words, and I'm sure there's lots of search queries that involve those words that you could make money off of, but those short terms on their own have almost no ads on them. They had no ads on them here in Wisconsin when we tried to type them in. That does not mean that it would be only a penny for you to put ads up on those actual terms. It would still possibly be quite expensive. It would be based on how relevant your ad is to that term, and it's hard to be really relevant to a very generic term, we found.
I think that it's every AdWords marketer's dream to be able to advertise in the keyword Google, which gets something like, I don't know, 14 billion searches a year. If I could only get there for 3 cents a click and send it to my CPA offer, I'd be fine.
Yes. So then on the other spectrum, you have very specific names that are hard to advertise on sometimes. A lot of times these are names of competitors is how it comes up with us. Someone will see, well, this other person across town that does exactly what I do is on the web, and people are looking for him. When I type in his company's name, there are no ads. I should put my ad up there. Well, you're welcome to, but if you think about how relevant your ad and your site will be to someone searching for your competitor, even if you offer the same things, the person who's specifically looking for that proper noun of your competitor's name is not looking for you. You're not optimized for that term very well, so it's going to be really hard to get those clicks inexpensive. And you'll probably have a very poor click-through rate as well.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
our
enough.
recommendation for this is that you actually look to the search query report data, as we mentioned before, to figure out where you should advertise that you're not advertising on, where you're not advertising, and also judge by your cost per acquisition when you try out keywords, not necessarily how cheap you can get them. It's there's so many things involved. It's how profitable the terms will be for you.
The longer that I'm at this game, the more it seems to me like rather than spending years in a keyword research tool, it's better to have a few relevant groups to start out and really use the search query report and follow Google's logic to see what they deem as relevant for what's working with your ad, because they're the ones with all the data, and that's empirical data about what is working as opposed to theoretical data about what might work. And it used to be that I didn't think their algorithm was so good, and I found so many things that were just so irrelevant in the search query report. But last year or so, it seems like they've gotten a lot better.
I would pretty much agree with that. It's even at the point where Google has so much data that the second-tier tools aren't as useful as they used to be. So where you used to look at other places to do your search out keywords, do your keyword research, it's not as important as it used to be. And we still do stuff like that, but within Google, you do find that you get the ones that get the most traffic with the keyword tool. You really don't have these places that are like hidden gems of finding, oh, no one's bidding on this term. Google's very good at showing ads and using that to make money. And if there's a space where ads can be shown, people are already probably advertising there because Google's broad match and extended broad match are finding it.
And there's well over 1 million advertisers at this point, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, because relevance is really the name of the game, it's harder to develop a whole sales funnel that's hyper relevant to an extraordinarily large number of keywords. It's really much better when you can focus on a smaller number and really make them work, because you're really dipping into a cohesive consumer conversation then, and you'll be able to develop a USP in your AdWords ads and figure out how to make your landing pages work. And it's all kind of coming together for me like that. And I think that the quality score algorithms are forcing us more and more in that direction.
Yeah, I would agree. There's also, for me, an element of looking at it as sort of an organic beast. It's always changing. It's not just a static spreadsheet of numbers, but it's like this process that you always have to pay attention to. You always want to be looking at your search query report, seeing how people are finding you, and trying to improve your situation by that. It's always evolving, always developing. It sort of has this life of its own. It's your AdWords account is almost like a
it's your baby.
Yeah, it reminds me. What were the name of the little Japanese toys that you had to?
Oh. Yeah.
Your AdWords account is like.
I had one. Well, it's a bad side, but I had one. It always used to die.
Yeah, Tamagotchi maybe.
Tamagotchi. Yeah, those were great.
So, well, I have one example of a word that it's very hard to advertise on. Can I show you that now, Glenn?
Yes.
Okay, so the word Yahoo, no ads. You hardly ever see an ad for Yahoo. And we put up a joke ad, don't advertise on Yahoo because you think it's cheap. Seems like a great deal, but it's not. So that's what we know about the situation when there's no competition. You have to think more about, is your ad really relevant, not is there no competition out there, and that's going to...
Let me just say for our lawyer's sake that this was entirely fictional, and we have opinions about Yahoo, but we think there is value to advertising there. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It says don't advertise on Yahoo. The word Yahoo is what I was going for. But
don't advertise on the word Yahoo. Right.
Yeah, right.
It's not unless you are Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Very funny. Go ahead.
All right. So the next revelation would be a big one. It's the status and how the status is changing of AdWords in general. The business of Google is built on relevancy, and that's increasingly reflected in landing page quality score. We're finding it harder and harder as things develop to be profitable if you have a very thin site like a squeeze page with no surrounding content. We see this more and more often. So there's really a big transformation kind of going on slowly in AdWords, and we've seen about the end of summer last year and about the end of February this year kind of new steps as they make it harder and harder with landing